don't drop that. And 3, 2, 1.
You were saying? Wait.
It's still rolling. It still says recording, so...
Yeah, it's good.
Hello. And we're going to shut this window because of noise pollution. Welcome to this new podcast. I'm joined once again with this twat. But yeah, we're going to be talking about metal. Because we spent enough time yabbering on about shit that no one cares about. So today we're going to talk
yabber on about more shit no one cares about, but this time it's going to be metal.
Exactly.
Would you like to indulge in a beverage with me, young sir?
My tea's so far away.
No, that'll do. There you go.
Okay.
Cheers.
There you go.
Dink. How metal. Tea.
Yep. But no,
No.
So, metal. We are Metalheads, and we are proud of it. I'm Metalhead with Crocs, but whatever.
In age of parodies.
Yeah, I do.
Not
but I need money first.
If New Rock ever wants a spokesperson, just hit me up.
Yeah, he already has like 3 or 4 pairs already, so just hire him.
I have 5, I think.
The towers, then you have the platforms, the regular old ones.
I've got the towers, the ankles, 2 regulars, and
and
my
and then Maddie's one if you want to count those.
No, and my Motor Rock boots.
Oh yeah, your Motor Rock. I forgot about those.
Those type things.
Those are new, aren't they? I completely forgot about those.
Yes.
Right, yeah. No, we are but Metalheads, as you can see by our regalia that we are wearing. But
badges,
no, I thought we would... Oh yeah, these badges. We actually got these the other day. I got the Killers, I don't know if you can see that. And then we got Dance of Death by Maiden, we got the Slipknot one, and we got the Metallica one. The Tech Malika. The Metal Liquor one.
Put on my gloves for extra metal effect.
Yeah.
Even though I've got my own bag of badges there.
Yeah, you do actually. Some of those are for your missus.
Maddie,
yeah. I didn't bring my death bat in for this one, but who cares? We are Metalheads, and I thought we would just talk about the ins and outs of being a metalhead. And actually, I want to talk about us getting into metal first of all.
Okay.
Because I had exposure for metal at an earlier age than you, but yet now you're more a metalhead than I am in general. So I think it doesn't matter how late in your life you discover metal. It just depends on how much you love it from when you discover it, right?
I lost a finger. Oh no! Yeah, you're totally right. It depends on. It depends. I think it's a case of like.
Because I had so much more exposure.
It's like a magnet. How a magnet is magnetic whether it's attached to something or not. So the point is, like, if you're gonna like metal, you will like metal.
Yeah, because you didn't start actually being full on involved in the metal scene until like 2018, right? Halfway through, kind of.
If you want a more in-depth explanation,
because you were more of a
if you want a more in-depth explanation of my like metal journey, I would highly recommend, shameless self-plug, check out my video Static Yonder's Metalhead tag, because I go into more detail.
Oh yeah. You go to our tags. I do have one as well, so that's a good point actually.
You nominated.
I completely forgot about that. I completely forgot we did those, to be honest. Well, we can end this podcast now, no.
Yeah, but that will go into more detail, but a quick rundown of what's in that video. I first heard a metal song when I was about 9, wasn't into it. Then I listened to more songs like...
You said that was the Drowning Pool one, didn't you?
That was Bodies.
Yeah.
And then I also heard the Halo soundtrack about a year later on a Lego Star Wars video. It was...
The Dream Evil, was it?
No, this is from Halo. So I heard...
Oh, it was Breaking Benjamin, wasn't it?
No, that was Mark who introduced me to that. That was years later. So
never mind.
I heard the Halo soundtrack, the Mjolnir mix of the Halo theme, which is a metal type thing by Steve Vai.
So this was 2015?
No, 2010.
Oh, okay.
So I heard the Mjolnir mix, and then I heard like Warthog Run and stuff like that. So that's where the heaviness came from. And then about 4 years later, Mark introduced me, or 3 years later.
Go. Makes sense now.
Mark introduced me to Breaking Benjamin.
Muddled.
Blow Me Away by Breaking Benjamin, which is also featured on the Halo soundtrack.
I think he even showed me that song as well, to be honest.
And that same year, I also discovered the song Cult of Personality by Living Colour. Now, that song was more of a hook for me.
I actually want to put a button. I actually want to put a bookmark in that because I want to go in depth into gateway bands at a later point in this podcast. But
that was the first one that actually hooked me more than the previous tunes that I just mentioned. So that one.
And Living Colour isn't metal, but it is something called a gateway band.
kind of is. They're a rock
well, yeah,
band.
yeah, exactly.
They're a rock band who does a bit of everything. They've got some bluesy stuff. They've got some rock stuff. They've got some metal stuff. I mean, Which Way to America, which is like a political statement. That's another really great song. And
but yeah. But no, that's just how it goes some days. Because like I say, when we both met each other, we were both. You were at the very start of your metaldom, and I kind of knew it existed, but wasn't engrossed in it yet. So we were both in the same stage, and we were both closeted metalheads.
Yeah.
And you wore them. I think it was around the time that you bought your first New Rocks, your purple ones.
Way later.
No. You didn't let me finish.
Am I jumping the gun here?
Yeah. Your purple New Rocks that you got was around the time where you started being like, no, I'm going to openly admit, okay, I'm a metalhead. I'm not just wearing band shirts for the hell of it. I'm actually, this is me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dress like it.
Well,
I think that's when you turned from closeted to, fuck it, hey everyone, I'm a metalhead kind of thing.
About a year to 2 years after the whole Breaking Benjamin Living Colour thing, in 2015, me and my friend Ludwig were looking at these Mandalorian tributes on YouTube, and we discovered The Chosen Ones by Dream Evil. And we listened to that song religiously every day for about a week, and then we were like, right, let's watch more videos. Then we discovered Die With Honor by Manowar.
There you go.
The rest, as they say, is history.
It's history, yeah.
So that is sort of how it went for me. And then it wasn't until 2016, so the following year, that I discovered Kings of Metal album.
And then you were just like, okay, Manowar's a great band.
And I discovered the song Warriors of the World at my Year 10 sports day.
Oh, nice.
My house won that year.
Hey!
For the first time in multiple years. Maybe the gods decided. Maybe they were smiling on me. Eric from fucking 1,000 miles away went, do you know what? I'm going to wave my magic Adam's wand. But there you go. So, that's sort of, it grew over time for me, is my point.
Yeah.
Over the course of a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
And but as you say, you're right. I didn't really get hard into that kind of music until I was about 16 or 17. So 2018, 17.
Yeah, I was thinking mid 2018 because that was when you bought your first New Rocks.
That's right, because I remember.
I always liken it to, okay, so you bought the New Rocks, now you're just going to commit to it.
In 2017, just before Christmas, I believe, we were in Rose's class, if you recall. And we were listening to Fighting the World. And we did
that a lot though. That wasn't just on one occasion.
There's one time I remember particularly from that year where we nearly got kicked out because we were laughing so hard. We were listening. We were listening.
That's because there was a voice crack in the song we were listening to, wasn't there? I'm not sure which song it was. It might not have been a Manowar song, but I think it was a different time.
I just recall listening to Fighting the World particularly.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe you're right. I think Eagle Fly Free was another one we listened to. Because I was like, oh dude, this is a really cool one by this band called Halloween. And you're like, okay, I'll listen to that. You listen to Escape the Fate. And I was like, okay, I will.
Oh yeah. Because we listened to bands like, you showed me Dream Evil, I showed you Disturbed, A7X, and then a bit of, not Judas Priest was later. Sabaton was actually one that we listened to very early on. You showed me the Heroes album.
2017. Introduced to me by my friend Lewis of all people.
Yeah, because I already knew about Metallica years before, but I hadn't really listened to them religiously, and you were like, there's a cover of their famous song, Whom the Bell Tolls, by Sabaton. And after we listened to that, we were like, fuck it, let's you've got your headphone splitter, let's just bunk off this class and let the teacher warble as because we had our laptops for college. It's a whole, we can't get into that, but basically,
if I recall correctly, it was a room full of people at desks with laptops, basically like we've got here, except like
he used to have a headphone splitter, and so we just plug our headphones in and we listened to a few albums front to back in college during those classes.
We did,
to tell the truth. We did Heroes by Sabaton. We definitely did Kings of Metal and Fighting the World. Those are the two Manowar albums I remember.
And a touch of Halloween, maybe the odd Maiden.
I don't think it was all the way through an album though.
No, it was the odd song or two.
I think I showed you.
I Want Out was a big one for us.
I think when Escape the Fate's 2018 album came out, I was hyping about that, so I must have showed you that album.
Now, I know your point of view might be different because obviously, as you say, you got into metal much earlier than I did, but I feel you and I actually brought the metal out in each other.
Oh yeah, for sure. I liked metal for longer than you, but I wasn't like, let's commit to this genre. I wasn't like that until college anyway, so
now look at you.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely. I love this verse.
And
I think I showed you Hail to the King as well, that album. I think we listened to front to back, if I remember rightly.
We did. We also listened to...
We listened to the Immortalised album as well, by Disturbed.
And we also listened to Nightmare, if I recall.
I think so. Maybe not the whole album, but I know I showed you some of their best songs from that album.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. But there were lots of stuff that we listened to. But yeah, I think we kind of helped each other with like broadening our horizons on what metal is out there. And,
our own personal hard rock hallelujah. You know, it just sort of happened. We eventually branched out and became
exactly because
committed to it.
Because I can't remember a specific time where I listened to my first metal song. It just kind of happened because my dad always listened to Planet Rock anyway, and he had a bunch of these old CDs, and his workmate even had these vinyls of from bands like Maiden, like the Killers album. I still have that vinyl to this day. Some Deep Purple. I have some Rainbow. I have what's that? UFO. I have one of UFO's vinyls as well. So I can't really remember a specific time that I've been listening to metal. It's just that there were just some songs that I remember listening to from a very young age, like Ace of Spades or Enter Sandman or Master of Puppets probably. And I always knew of metal, and I always liked it just as much as I liked, because growing up I kind of didn't really have a specific genre that I liked. I just listened to whatever I fancied, and then which I recommend no one ever does, is just listen to whatever your age group is listening to at the moment, because usually their judgment in music is shit.
Yep.
So I was just listening to whatever song was popular at the time throughout like maybe middle school-ish time. And so it was just kind of one of those things. But during secondary school, around the time of like 2013, I think is when the Hail to the King album came out. That was around the time where I fell in love with Avenged Sevenfold, and my mate Kane introduced me to the songs Hail to the King, Unholy Confessions, and Heretic. But before that, I'd listened to a few songs unconsciously, not just haphazardly, because Not Ready to Die was one of them by Avenged Sevenfold that I listened to before, realising that was a band that I liked, and then Carry On and Nightmare, I think, because all three of those songs were featured in the Call of Duty Zombies game mode as like Easter egg songs that you can unlock or something. Oh, sorry, not Nightmare, Shepherd of Fire. That was the other one.
That's another one you mentioned a lot. Another band I didn't realise that I really got into as a sort of a consequence of listening to a lot of songs with you was Motorhead. In 2017, I recall the first time I listened to Overkill, I was walking to my local shop and I was walking past this old people's home on the corner and I had Overkill playing in my ears and I thought, wow, this sounds cool, like sort of half metal, half dystopian rock. And as I was walking by, I thought, wow, this is not the music to listen to going past an old people's home. I love it. So that's another great band that I got into as a consequence of our explosion of musical gentrification, if you will.
Because the only metal bands that I listened to pre-college that I was I'm going to follow these bands and listen to their whole discography and religiously listen to them and worship them and all that was Avenged Sevenfold from 2013, which is crazy that I've nearly been an Avenged Sevenfold fan for 8 years now, which is actually really wild to think that I've been listening to them. They've been my favourite band for 8 years. But I digress. And then 2014, I think, is when the Immortalized album came out. And maybe it might have been 2015. But whenever that came out, I fell in love with Disturbed. Because before that, I'd only heard Down with the Sickness, I think. And that was good. And actually, I heard that song because of the Dawn of the Dead remake by Zack Snyder. Which is cool, because that was the outro credits music they used. Anyway, so Disturbed was whenever the Immortalized album came out. And besides that, it was a bit of Escape the Fate, a bit of Black Veil Brides. I know. They're alright band, they're fine. The music's alright, they have their moments. And Escape the Fate, I think I already said that. And then I think a bit of Trivium, but it was only the fleeting song that I listened to of theirs. And besides that, it was just whatever my dad showed me growing up. So stuff like Maiden and maybe a smidge of Metallica, but mostly it was hard rock bands, gateway bands like AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Queen, Status Quo, Green Day, Weezer, I think, as well. So
I think another important turning point for you and I when we were listening together was 2018, because we started hanging out with a new group, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Most of them were metalheads, or at least a lot of them were closeted
There were
metalheads
at least,
as well.
not really. There were at least 2 or 3 very outspoken metalheads in the group. There was Tiger.
One of them, Tiger, the one you knew from school, wasn't he?
James and somebody else.
Oh, yeah, James. I forgot about James. Yeah.
Some other person I won't mention. And it was those 3 that were openly metal.
And they had their own band at the time as well, didn't they?
Actually, those 3 were in a band, weren't they? Yeah. I ended up scooping James and Tiger into mine, and then now it's just Tiger and myself and Maddie and Ollie. But you know, the whole point I'm trying to make is that when we started hanging out with them, as well as the people we were hanging out with at the time, it allowed us to interact with other people who we hadn't quite gotten to know yet on a deep level like you and I have.
Yeah, because
that also liked metal like we did.
Exactly, because the thing is that it's things like this. It's like you meet James, who was a big Trivium fan, and I'd listened to Trivium in the past, but I didn't listen to Trivium fully until we caught. Because it's the sort of thing. If you meet a metalhead, like I met you at college, I give you Avenged Sevenfold, you give me Manowar. Those are the 2 bands that we knew before meeting each other.
Yeah.
So we give each other different music to listen to, and we broaden our horizons, and blah 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 blah. And the same with James when he was giving us like Trivium songs to listen to. And what did Tiger listen to? Tiger
listens to everything. He
was
big into Powerwolf at the time.
He was. That was he showed me Sacrifice of Dynamite or whatever that song was called by them. I forgot what it's called, but yeah.
Powerwolf.
Yeah, Powerwolf was around the same time I met Tiger. He must have showed me.
I'm trying to think of other things. He likes Trivium. He likes.
That's probably because
of
James.
But he likes Periphery mainly for the drums.
Which is that's fair,
interesting. He likes a lot of bands. To be fair, I can't really, dissect.
But no, it's like, the principle is that you meet a metalhead and you give them some new bands to listen to, and vice versa, and and that's what we did. Like I say, when we met each other at college, so. It's just one of those things. But no, gateway bands. What is your gateway band? Like, at least the main one that you've been listening to recently, like getting back into.
What? Living Colour.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't say they were a gateway band.
Okay. Well, I mean, so the meaning of a gateway band is that it's a band that you listen to when you're growing up, and they're kind of like rocky.
Trying to explain.
Okay.
I did not listen to music in much of a way at all when I was younger. I would listen to bits and bobs. Like, I would listen to fucking anything that was good on a movie soundtrack. So, Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, Mighty Wings. You can see a pattern here, Top Gun. And I used to listen to a lot of things like the Star Wars soundtrack. And I'm a big movie soundtrack person. I always have been. But I never liked a more cool genre. Like metal is cool, rock is cool, techno is cool. I never had a genre, if that makes sense. I never had like a genre that had a style. Like, obviously with metal, you got the leather and the metal and the jeans and the chains and the studs and the patches and all that stuff. I never had any of that. I was never into that stuff. Like ska, you've got the checkers and stuff like that. Yeah,
you have your own. And with punk, you have the spikes are very heavily.
The spikes and the dyed hair and the mohawks and the ridiculous tartan stuff. They wear a lot of tartan to the punks. And that sort of thing. So obviously with punks and metalheads, there's a bit of an overlap in what they wear, but you can sort of tell the difference.
Oh yeah, no.
You won't see a metalhead in tartan. You won't see a punk in like.
I mean, punks are usually more prone to wearing like flannel shirts than metalheads.
As well.
It's kind of they sometimes overlap, but a lot of the time, I mean, usually punks and metalheads get along fairly well because it's not too dissimilar from each other.
Well, they're all different genres of rock, and it all comes from the original. Rock.
Exactly.
Just have rock and hard rock and that stuff. So I think it's for me, gateway band was probably I don't know. I think you're right. I think. Maybe Living Colour. Okay, well,
as I was going to say, because a gateway band is just a band it's any music that you listen to that leads you to your band, the genre that you listen to religiously. In our case, metal. So the gateway bands would be bands that are rock or hard rock or maybe even punk in some cases that are like that you listen to, and they're not as hardcore or as heavy as what we listen to now. Like I don't know, like Amon Amarth or something. But it is like music that kind of is a stepping stone to metal. So, like the typical examples, the most common examples you hear of metalheads as their gateway bands is usually stuff like AC/DC or Guns N' Roses, which are hard rock bands, but they heavily influence the metal scene with songs like Back in Black or Highway to Hell or Welcome to the Jungle or stuff like that. So
they have a similar musical language, like.
But the bands themselves are definitely hard rock, but they influence the metal genre.
Well, what does metal? What does good metal sound like? It's got loud, aggressive guitars, screamy,
Sometimes
shouty
distorted
vocals, sometimes melodic vocals, depending. Heavy bass, drum rolls.
It's got cold.
Oh dear. Drum rolls from here to next Christmas, and a lot of hard rock bands have that too. So but obviously it grows from.
And like
from
you
hard
say,
rock.
metal is just a branch off, as like punk is from rock anyway. So a gateway band should very well be rock based or anything along those lines. So.
Insert image of Jack Black in School of Rock explaining all the different fucking things. But it's so true. It's just the way it tends to work.
Yeah, how many minutes are we? 20 something, right?
Cool. We are on. Hang on, I can't see. I think we are on 20. Yeah, 20.
We'll go for another 5, and then we'll go to a commercial
break.
break.
I really need to pee.
No, same.
So yeah,
that's why I was looking at the clock.
But my gateway band. I guess you're right. Living Colour. And you're right. I've been getting back into them really deeply recently.
That's because I've been getting back into my gateway bands as well.
Yeah,
it
was just interesting.
Your interest in going
kind
back
of.
to
I started
with music. So
I think I started on my own because what happened was I was at work, and I had a moment where I could just chill and listen to music. So I was sitting there and I was listening to Cult of Personality because it just happened to be on my playlist, and I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna have a look at the actual album. And then I found Which Way to America and Funny Vibe and all those songs, and I was like,
I think I know where this started.
Really
because we were doing a metal subgenre, something like that, in last year summertime, and it was a subgenre video because it was like this weird rock subgenre thing that we were getting into, and one of the examples was a Cult of Personality, and that kind of, I think, put Living Colour back on your radar.
Yeah, maybe
because that's definitely.
I might have unconsciously gone, oh yeah, I remember those guys. That was good.
Yeah.
Maybe I definitely got much more into them recently. Oh shit, I'm missing a stud.
Lovely.
I got already brand new gloves.
We'll look for that in a break. Don't worry.
So anyway, so close.
That, Jesus Christ.
So anyway, don't leave that down too much because you might actually close it by accident. So anyway, I think definitely Living Colour has become a much more enjoyed band by myself recently, big time, because I found all these awesome songs. Whilst we were, I think also what's spurred my interest is the 10th anniversary stuff. It's making me think back to those years, especially
of course.
Certain Minecraft series. And I think whilst we've been working on these 10th anniversary projects, I think for one of them, I think you know which one, I was just listening to Living Colour whilst I was doing it. So, again, it's so easy, guys, to just fall straight back into a band.
It's very easy to get lost in a band's discography and just engulf yourself and
just it snowballs. The minute you start listening to them again and you find another song that you like that you didn't hear before, it will just snowball, and you'll find yourself listening to their whole discography. You'll listen to every album, every song, every single, every remix. It's mad, and it's one of the fun things
about music
and about your journey and time as a metalhead. You can just fall into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll go into it expecting to hear a new song, and you'll end up with a whole new album or set of albums that you never heard before in of a day, and before you know it.
And that's what's funny as well, is that obviously you shouldn't be tied to one subgenre or genre in general.
Yeah.
And case in point, you listen to stuff as heavy as I'm on a Marth on the daily, but also Living Colour, which is just this classic rock type of band, and it's really cool.
And it's
all in the same spectrum, which is why you like it, obviously, because it sounds similar enough to where it appeases your your listening earbuds.
The important thing about rock music is that it's such an interesting and complex and well-made...
Such a rich history to it, as well, with all these players involved.
It's such a well-made genre that there is so much variety, and yet it sounds similar enough that it's still the same genre.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to believe that Manowar, Judas Priest, Living Colour, AC/DC, they were all inspired by the same people, like Deep Purple.
They're all in the same corner.
And they were all inspired by the same people, like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, but they all went off in different directions.
Led Zeppelin is a good example of a gateway band, actually. I forgot about that.
Good band, yeah.
But,
but they all went off in their own different directions with it. And that's what's great about it. You can find yourself just listening to...
And a side note about gateway bands, this isn't even a gateway band for me, but I've just been really getting back into Black Sabbath recently, and I just love the Heaven and Hell album.
It's a great album. I love the.
What other gateway bands do you think you've had besides Living Colour that you can think of? Like back in the day, maybe you haven't gone back to them recently, but maybe you remember like the music that that you listened to alongside like Deep Purple before getting into like metal, maybe. Like, are there any others? Because I have a lot of gateway bands.
I don't. I have one or two.
Really?
It's just Living Colour, really.
Oh, okay.
Living Colour, Breaking Benjamin, obviously, but only one song, which was Blow Me Away.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to think now. Other songs, are there, but it wasn't bands for me. I never got into bands. I just thought, that's a good song, that's a good song, that's a good song. I would say it wasn't until Manowar or
so you just
Dream
basically
Evil,
cut out the middleman with that.
Or Dream Evil, that I actually found bands that I liked, and I think I struck gold finding Manowar of all bands. The one band renowned. The one band renowned for being the most fan-servicey, fan-driven band in the world, and that just happened to be the first band I really identified with. Yeah. It was a bit of a...
It's hard not to identify them, it's hard not to like them, because they're such a wholesome band and shit.
Even if they, are a bit corny at times. Yeah. When I say a bit, that's being generous. Yeah.
But not in the best way, though, because they have a certain charm to it, because they're unapologetically just fucking proud and a very cringy...
Manly men. We
are
men. It's great. And you're right. And it's a bit like any genre that you get into. You find a band you like and you stick with it. Yeah. I think that's what's happened with me. I just never
struck gold. Accidentally struck gold.
I think I had gateway songs more than anything.
Yeah.
What about your gateway bands though? What did you listen to?
I think we should save my gateway bands till after the break because it's 28 minutes.
Let's go to the commercial.
Enjoy this commercial break. We will be right back after these.
We're gonna
messages.
Go and
fill up our tea and go take a piss.
Okay. He left me hanging. You all saw that, right?
Snail.
Brilliant.
Anyway, alright, see you in a sec.
Bye!
Joe.
Hi there, Zach. What's the matter? You look like you want to die.
Yes, I want to die.
I know exactly what you need.
What do I need, Joe?
Some unbranded tea!
Wow, thank you so much, Treacle. Pour me a cup of that unbranded tea right now.
No problem.
Unbranded tea. Buy some. Or don't, see if I give a shit.
So, welcome back to I've just realised that's not on my knee.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Sorry for all that just now.
Yeah.
So welcome back to the Zea Tea
Podcast.
Oh, shit!
Stop doing that, holy shit.
Welcome back to the Zea Tea Podcast. And,
we are talking about...
Will you not move it? Move it.
We were talking about gateway bands.
What should we talk about now? Should we talk about...
My gateway bands, right?
We'll talk about your gateway bands, and then would you mind if we talked a little... about like Metalhead experiences?
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Sure. Actually, I've got tons. I've got a couple that I told you. So
I'll go first because I have less than you. So.
Okay, sure. Yeah. The gateway bands that I think I've mentioned most of them anyway, but recently, in the last sort of 4 months, I think, ever since like February, I've been listening to Green Day. And more recently, Weezer as well, and they kind of go hand in hand as two bands that I listened to at a younger age, which have that alternative, more music. So they're kind of punk, kind of stadium rock, kind of that weird mesh where it's like you don't know where they're.
Can you pass my drugs, please? I am listening.
Can you pass my drugs? They're prescribed drugs. They're not drugs.
Pills. Ooh. It's paracetamol, you fuck.
Anyway, So I've been getting back into Green Day, and as you were saying earlier, it's a miracle I remembered this because I was going to go on to this about Green Day. When you said how when you revisit a band when you listen to at a younger age, it's fun to do that because you discover songs that you don't remember listening to back then, but you love now by a band that you listened to from ages ago. That's a great throw.
They didn't see that. Why did you have to point out that I failed? You could have just let it be and spoken about it afterwards, but no. You had to point it out in front of people.
That's
Tickle.
why.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So as you were saying though, before the break at some point, you were saying how when you revisit bands that you listened to in the past, in your case, Living Colour, you find songs that you didn't hear before by them.
You end up unraveling a web you didn't realise was there of songs that you maybe heard, maybe didn't, and
you
end
only
up
appreciate them when you
after the
revisit
fact,
them,
and you end up, going down the rabbit hole, listening to stuff.
Yeah,
over
which
and
is
over.
what happened to me with Green Day in the last 4 months. And I know Green Day isn't metal. I don't proclaim it to be metal, but it is some sort of... The earlier stuff is punk. The later stuff is rock / this weird stadium rock kind of cult thing they have going on now, which I can appreciate. And I know that stadium rock isn't a music genre of their own, but they are the head of said stadium rock.
For the non-Metalhead viewers, Green Day are the ones who wrote I walk a lonely road, the only one that I've ever known. Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Yes, I love Green Day because of the drumming and the guitars and the lyrics, actually. Billy's vocals are good, but it's where his songwriting is what I love about it. So,
interestingly, I discovered Green Day at the same time as I discovered Breaking Benjamin and Living Colour. So actually, I could have mentioned them a few minutes ago when we were talking about gateway bands. Green Day was one for me.
But yeah, growing up, I'd listened to loads of the typical, like Boulevard of Broken Dreams was like the anthem of our age group growing up. And the whole of American Idiot as an album, to be honest, I remember having nostalgia listening to that front to back as a youngin'. Same with the album Nimrod by Green Day and Dookie, and I think Warning was another one. But besides, actually no, 21st Century Breakdown was another one I listened to.
I think another thing is that it comes from us being the first generation to really spend our life online. And I think that's why everyone really identified with Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Yeah.
I walk a lonely road. My shadow's the only one that walks beside me. It's a case of there was a disconnect for a lot of people of our sort of generation. And
that song is a great example of Billy knowing how to write good lyrics. Sorry,
and
I love Billy's songwriting.
Our sort of curricular demographic. So people our age in our sort of social circle in our types of schools in this country, I think identify with that really well.
Exactly. And the thing is that Billy has tapped into that sort of storytelling in his songs. And I even showed you American Idiot yesterday, and it was from front to back. And I had to point out to you that every song it adds to this story of this character called Jimmy. I could do a whole fucking podcast talking about Green Day, man. But let's just stay on topic of metal. But I want to quickly say that like songs like Pulling Teeth being about like an abusive relationship that a guy's in and how it's very clever songwriting. Or how Wake Me Up September Ends is about the loss of a father. There's so many fucking great songs with great meanings behind them, and it makes me love them more and more. Anyway, I'm going to shut up about Green Day now. They're like my top 5 favourite bands, which is saying a lot because I'm predominantly a metalhead, but what can you do?
Another thing you'll find about Metalheads is that we are, interestingly, a bit of a quantum superposition in the sense that we are both the most loyal fans dedicated to one genre, but we also have the broadest music taste. We're two things at once.
You can go from stuff like Green Day to like fucking Venom.
Or even you can go like from stuff like Amon Amarth to Pavarotti, or Amon Amarth to fucking Lady Gaga or some people.
Or in my case, the heaviest stuff that I actually religiously listen to at the moment is like Marduk.
Yeah.
Because they're black metal and they're like Sabaton except more brutal.
Black metal.
I fucking love Marduk.
It's like
as brutal as Marduk, but also as poppy and as bouncy as Green Day. So it's like
I personally can go from
that's how far the range
like
is.
Sabaton to Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
Or Sabaton to Jimi Hendrix, or Sabaton to anything. Really.
Or like Van Halen, or like
Van Halen.
Like that,
but that's sort of going back into metal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's the whole gateway. Yeah, Van Halen's a great example of like a gateway type of thing, because Van Halen isn't metal himself, but he fucking gave metal its platform. He revolutionised the way people use the guitar.
Eddie was metal as fuck.
Oh, hell yeah.
Personally.
He was metal before metal was a thing.
Sort of, yeah. He predates the American wave of metal that happened after Judas Priest hit it big. Yeah. And
Van Halen revolutionised how people use the guitar. I fucking love that guy. And we were talking about our dream like band, Dead or Alive, and Van Halen was both of our picks for those.
R.I.P. He's been gone hardly any time at all, and I really miss him.
Probably this time last year,
right? He was only 66.
Yeah.
I mean,
when did he die?
Reference,
was it earlier this year or last year?
Last year.
I think it was last year.
Eddie Van Halen was 66, which is interesting because Eric Adams from Manowar is 67. Rob Halford is 69. All these metal and hard rock icons are getting on in years with an average age of about 70 now. You know, the guys from Fleetwood Mac are about 70, half of Judas Priest to 70. You know, all these people who created this wonderful music genre with these really intricate songs and stuff like that. Even AC/DC, as I'm just seeing your speaker over there, reminding me that Brian Johnson is 71, you know, and poor old Malcolm Young, R.I.P. These wonderful musicians are all starting to, you know, they're aging, but they're still at it. Do you think you'll see Justin Bieber in his 70s? No. I hope not. Yeah. Because I'll be in my 60s, and I would not be pleased with that being the case, because not only is it perpetuating manufactured music, and I'm not.
It's just like factory produced, safe,
but also
rubbish. Really, in my opinion.
Musicians
we're not
like
hating
that.
on music for the hell of it. We just like our stuff, and we can respect other music where we want to. Like Blondie, I like Blondie. They are nowhere near in the realm of metal, but I like them because they are good at the craft at what they do.
Teacher, me.
Sorry, I just want to quickly digress.
But the thing about like bands,
we're not hating on music for the hell of it.
Artists like Justin Bieber is that he won't be around then, not because he doesn't want to, but because the only thing that will be keeping him in it is the money, and also don't forget he is pop. That it doesn't last. Pop changes. Pop is a relative term. At one point, metal was pop. You know.
Oh yeah.
Back in the 80s, and MTV
because of glam
that,
to a degree.
Glam is for a brief blink in history. Bands like Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and Deep Purple were right at the forefront. Then other bands were like, we like what they're doing, but we're going to make it more palatable.
It. Yeah.
And Iron Maiden, but then they were like, well, we're not so down with the metal and the leather and the demons and stuff like that. So we're going to make it more colourful and
which is fine, but it was for the wrong reasons.
And also, it wasn't fine. Bands like fucking Poison just took it
Twisted
so
Sister.
far.
We
Twisted,
got
no,
Twisted
we didn't.
Sister.
Twisted Sister predates glam. People think Twisted Sister. No, they're not. People think Twisted Sister are glam because they had makeup. The whole point of the makeup in Twisted Sister was to be shocking and to challenge the status quo. It was a bit like, you know how David Bowie was androgynous in so many ways. He did that to challenge the system. So that's a little bit of a misconception about Twisted Sister. Most of that stuff was actually to do with challenging.
The only thing I can rival glam then is fucking Motley Crue and
Motley Crue and Poison.
And no, not Poison. I mean, I don't know.
They're awful. Oh wait, were you saying the only thing you can like?
Well, yeah, that's the only redeeming thing.
I thought you were saying the only thing you don't like is like bands.
Well, no, I don't mind Motley Crue. Some of their stuff is actually alright.
Yeah, I agree. It's because the whole band is like a metal band that hired a glam singer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, true. That's a good point. I mean, Kiss is kind of glam, but I don't like Kiss. So shut up, Vince Neil. Anyway,
getting off topic.
Anyway, quickly closing thoughts on my the gateway bands. So Green Day, Queen, Status Quo, all the bands I listened to growing up are like rock and.
Remember, I said I didn't have a gateway band.
What?
It was Queen. I knew there was one there somewhere.
Everyone's gateway band is Queen though, so it's not exactly.
I remember my mum really got me into Queen.
Yeah. But yeah, that's really it. It's just everyone's gateway band is Queen. Let's be fair, everyone's listened to Queen. But no, anyway, on to like Metalhead fucking like experiences.
I think one important Metalhead experience is your first fashion experience.
So, I thought we were going to talk about yours first.
We are. I just want to make one point.
Okay.
So a lot of people like credit bands like Judas Priest for making the look, and then I see the LGBT community hopping on it straight away because Rob Halford's gay. What's interesting is the look actually predates Judas Priest. It's like because we've mentioned the story about how battle vests were invented before, haven't we?
I think briefly in the how to make look at our battle vest video that I did.
It's a good video, that one.
I like it. Yeah, it's alright.
But it was basically pilots coming back from World War II used to cut the sleeves off their jackets because they used to substitute the thrill of flying for the thrill of biking. They used to cut the sleeves off their jackets, and then obviously as a hardcore biker, when heavy metal and hard rock started coming out, those kinds of people, the pilots.
It was either the pilots went to leather or they went to the Parker's coats, didn't they? There were two. For the history.
It depends.
They either went to because the Parker jackets they cut the sleeves off and they put. And
I don't know where you get that from. I've never heard.
Because it was either those. There was like a video about it that I did watch. So it was either they cut off the sleeves of their Parkers or they went.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I only knew about the leather thing because apparently the sleeves that were standard
restrictive.
Because it was only designed for flying an aircraft. It wasn't actually designed for like movement. So they used to cut them off, but also repurpose them to wear them on their bikes. And that's how biker fashion got invented. And those kinds of people started going to shows. One day, at a Priest gig, Rob Halford was like, hey, can I can I stick on a biker's coat? Because that's the kind of people that come to our shows. So I'm going to dress like them. And that's how it happened. And yes, all right, he did go to a sex shop in the end and buy a bunch of like
grabbed a fucking gimp suit and all that.
Or something. Well, no, I think he bought the studs and like the handcuffs and
that's the principle of it. But you
back
gotta
in the
love him
70s,
for it.
where else were you going to buy that stuff?
Because it was like the fashion came from like Lemmy's denim, which he brought to the stage, and then obviously
good old Lord Lemmy.
Rob
and again,
Rob and like Manowar and bands like that bringing in the studs and the leather. So yeah.
And again, Lemmy predates the look. You know, he is, and the look sort of predates him. People like Lemmy is where the look came from. You know, he was.
He popularised it, but he didn't invent it. So.
No. They have.
He didn't invent denim.
No, it was just the pilots coming back.
It was just like, oh, that looks cool. Let's rip off the sleeves off the denim and stick some other fabric on.
I was going to say, but in the end, the reason they started putting patches on is because patches started being sold at shows for things like bags and like and jackets.
And became
and
the
stuff
sort
like
of collector's item, and it patches became so.
And so Metalhead started wearing them as a badge of honour to be like, right, I like this band or I've seen this band maybe, and then that's where it went. And badges.
That's usually where patches came from originally, from shows, and then they started selling them online when the digital age came around.
So there you are. So that's how that started. But your first fashion experience as a Metalhead is important because obviously every subgenre has its own thing. So like Sabaton and black metal share the camo thing.
I mean, that's more exclusively Marduk. It's more specifically bands in particular adopting the camo look. It's less about black metal.
Because I've seen a lot of black metal heads.
I think black metal is more associated with the corpse paint.
The corpse paint as well. That's another important thing. Again.
But yeah, I think you're right. But I think it's less about camo for black metal. I think it's more just.
Fair enough.
The band's picking their battles and being like, let's wear camo, like Sabaton and Marduk, and I think if Manowar was less about leather, they'd go for camo.
They also
there's an alternate universe where Manowar is doing tours with camo.
Well, it is war, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Well,
so you know,
fucking Eric wears camo, doesn't he? Because he's a hunter. But there's obviously Manowar had a phase between 2009 and 2013 where they wore like real life flak vests instead of like the leather and the studs and whatever. They still wore the good old new rock.
And the new rock is usually more associated with power metal, isn't it? More than anything else. I mean, it's in every corner of metal, but it
is more of a. It's also a gothic thing because obviously goths.
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah. It's like an edgy.
But yeah, I would say new rock more belongs to the rock and roll, like punk and metal community than anybody else because it goes beyond the whole platform. I'm a gothic person thing. It's more about the aesthetics. I mean, look at my boots. They got the spikes and like I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there's the orange. It's like fire, which obviously pyros is a big thing in metal. Yeah. But I think finding your own style is important.
Jinx, yeah.
Now, I mean, look at us. You can tell we're both metalheads. We've got slight variations.
Because I'm more steered towards denim. I mean, I have a leather vest, a leather jacket, but it's not black; it's brown. So.
And see, I also steer towards the denim, and I need to actually make like my full vest at some point. But I would generally wear it over a leather jacket like this one.
And I would have new rocks if I had money. By the way, so just putting that.
It's fine. New Rocks is the reason I don't have money. So there we go. But anyway, our experiences. Let's stop sidetracking. I'm awful for it.
But no, actually, speaking of shameless plug about metal fashion, we did a Metalhead's Guide to Fashion the other day.
We did, didn't we?
Go check it out if it's up by the time this podcast is out. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, what's an experience you've had recently?
Oh, recently. Not so. I started.
Well, I mean, besides the obvious ones where people are stopping you for your new rocks.
Oh, should we tell them about that one? That happened.
I mean, you've had loads
yesterday.
of them, but we've had two of them on this trip already. One in the record shop.
We found a new record store that's got metal stuff, and that's where I got these gloves. And there was this girl there who was dressed as metal as you could possibly be. She was like a dead ringer for Maddie's type of style. She had like black jeans it's like a mixture between myself and Maddie. Black jeans, biker boots. Leather jacket and I think it was like a Metallica backpack or something.
I think she had like a pendant on as well.
She had a pendant on as well, and she was like brutal. And I think she had a pair of fingerless gloves, but they didn't have like studs on like mine. And she was like, "Oh, dude, I really like your boots. Like, where did you get them from?" And I was like, "Oh, New Rock Shop in Camden. Yeah. Go have a look." Again, I'm a fucking salesman for these guys, and they don't even know me. So she was like, "Okay, thanks, bro. I'll have a look." And then there was another guy yesterday who literally
stopped his car in the middle of the road,
honk
his horn at you.
And he was like, "I love your boots, bro."
Yeah.
And it was like, and it wasn't like taking the piss. He was like, "Those are like."
He was like genuinely like nice fucking shoes or whatever. Yeah. So yeah. Besides, you've had lots of those though, so we'd be forever if you explained every single one. But
my most recent experience, Metalhead experience, would be when I bought my Motor Rock comfort new rock style boots.
Yeah.
I bought them for work. I tried to get Universal Credit to pay the expense for them. They didn't take kindly to me trying to get new rocks as expenses. Yeah. But I bought them for work because I do security and I need a pair of good boots, and I'm just sick of Magnums. So I bought I treated myself to a pair of new rocks that I could both wear at work and just around, because you can't wear these every single day. I've tried. And I started wearing them at work, and there's a lot of guys who actually work in the film industry that are like metalheads and stuff like that, but more importantly, just random people are like, oh, it's the big boot guy. And they're like, oh, I love those boots, man. They're like cowboy style. I used to have a pair like that when I was young, and all this stuff. So that's my most recent experience. Is at work, people have actually taken to it quite well. I would have thought they would have been like, oh, those are interesting boots, or someone might be like, that's not work appropriate. But actually, no, people took to it quite well. But again, with the job I do, it is the kind of thing where you can get away with that, because who's a better bouncer than a like biker, hardcore metalhead person? It doesn't look out of place for someone who works in security to be wearing a pair of boots with skulls on. Is my point.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
And my fucking boss loves it, so it's cool. He loves them. So my point is, that's my most recent experience, is that working where I do, my style has actually been really more well received. Yeah. But that's as metal as it gets. The rest is like the normal like security outfit, like combats and polo shirt. But yeah, they've taken to it really well. That's my most recent experience, metal wise. Yeah. Can't think of many others. Like, people just tend to stop me about my boots and my jacket and that sort of stuff. And my leather battle vest with the Man of War patches on it, which is my favourite vest that I own. So that's my most recent experiences.
Well, I mean, the most recent one was the only positive one that's to note, I think, because the rest of them are just kind of just nods. Actually, no. When I was on campus last year, and I was wearing this every single day before it got so fucking heavy and it started raining, and I lost it actually for a little while. While I was actually off to the shops, I was wearing it. Some security guy spotted my Sabaton patch actually, and he was like, "Oh, Sabaton, nice!" And I'm like, "Oh, cheers, man, cheers." As he's walking past, he just said, "Oh, nice Sabaton," and poked the patch. I'm like, "Oh, sweet." Is he family or whatever you say? When
is he family? I've stolen that from the TV series Vicious, which is about a gay couple, and whenever they think someone's gay, they go, "Do you think he's family?" So I've adopted that to mean metalheads. Do you think he's family? Do you think he's a metalhead? Because obviously it is like one big family as well. The fandom, generally speaking,
it does feel very tightly knit, even though there's so many.
And there are toxic. There are toxic people. There are elitists, both elitists for like true metal and like old metal, like classic, and then there are elitists for prog, who are the worst kind of elitists, and the black metal elitists. They're all awful, if I'm honest. Yeah, but generally speaking,
no one hates metalheads more than metalheads.
Exactly. But generally speaking, there's two types of metalhead: the elitist and the super open. Wow, you like black metal? That's awesome. I like heavy metal.
That's called a purist.
Yeah,
you're thinking of the word. A metal purist is like people that just accepts if it's metal, then she'll have it.
I would have thought purist would have meant like elitist. Like
no. Purist, I think, is the opposite end of the spectrum. I've heard loads of people use purist in the term where it's like, listen to whatever you like. If you like Black Veil Brides, sure, they're not a great band, but I don't care.
I've never heard it that way.
Really?
Because generally
I've always thought purist meant that you're open to whatever.
When you think like racial purist, you think Hitler. So when I think purist, but also at the same time a pure person is someone who is pure, someone who.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so maybe you know.
I've always thought the purist was the opposite end of the spectrum from an elitist.
Maybe, but. Whatever you call them, those are the two types of metalhead. You've got the elitists and
God bless
the really open ones.
The open ones, yeah. God bless them.
Which makes up most of them.
There needs to be more of them, but yeah.
The elitists are a minority. They're just a very loud minority.
Yeah, very loud one. Yeah.
So.
But yeah, the most recent positive one, I think I told you this. Apart from the Sabaton one, which was cool. Yeah, it was a kid. Yeah. I was walking on the opposite side of the road from these other people. There were two middle-aged women with prams, and there was this like probably 10 years old walking behind them, just trying to keep up with the fucking women. He looked like he was lost, to be honest. And he stopped and looked at me, and because I was wearing like I think my other vest with the Maiden back patch, and then I was wearing some ripped jeans, this chain as it happens, and my pendant and a cut off with the sleeves gone and all that, and he looked at me and he like, and it looked like he was scared, and I'm like, and so I just do this. I'm like, why not? And then he smiled and he did the fucking the
Spider-Man
thing in return, and I was like, oh, that is so fucking cute.
I'd laugh if he turns out to be like the next big metal.
I've just set him on a path of metal and glory.
Like the next Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah.
It's all your fault. It's great.
I just love that. That was a great experience. That was just cute. We didn't even talk. He just saw me and he just did that because I did that.
Yeah.
It was just so fucking adorable.
I had a similar experience when I think it was in Aldi of all places, and this kid came up to me. It was either Aldi or Tesco, one of the two. And this kid who must have been about 11, came up to me and he was like, I hope you don't mind, but I really like your jacket. And I was like, oh, he was so sweet. And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm actually
so
tearing up.
cute.
It's so sweet. Because he was like, I really like your jacket. I'm sorry if I'm bothering you. And I was like, no, it's fine. I like my jacket too.
If
it was
wasn't
expensive.
for COVID, I'd hug you.
I think this was before COVID, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
quite a while back. He's like, I really like your jacket. I think it was a Manowar vest. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he's like, where can I get one? And I was like, well, maybe look online. There's lots online. He was like, I'll do that. What should I search? And I put like leather vest or leather jacket. Like,
or Manowar or whatever.
Like rock clothes. He was
Biker
like, okay,
jacket or something.
okay, thank you. And he walked away. Now, he didn't look really like super cute. He looked like he looked about 12 or 13, but he must have been about 11 because of his voice. Like, he looked like he was like...
Yeah, just make sure it's still recording.
That's all right,
sorry.
yeah. He looked older than he sounded,
Yeah.
you know. And he seemed like your average just preteen, but he talked to me like he was terrified because I was wearing the big boots and the Manowar coat and all this stuff, and he was
Just adorable.
He must have been about 5 foot tall, so obviously he was, you know, getting a bit older, but you know, still small enough to be intimidated by like
a guy with big fuck off boots and all that. Yeah,
still small enough to be intimidated by 20 something, and he was, you know, just so polite and sweet, you know. But he didn't look it. He looked like your average kid who's like wearing a tracksuit jacket and like jeans and stuff. But
that's cute.
Yeah, it was a really sweet experience. I think that's the closest thing I've had to your like kid with the metal horns thing.
That's adorable though.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
That's the only one that I can think of besides just people just nodding at me when they see my vest. They're like, oh, that's a fucking sick vest. Just nodding. It's mostly just small things like that. Besides that, there are two... I think the only two big ones that I've had in person, I have a lot of online ones from cunts that are like elitist, like... Well, I've already told this story about the mosh pit with the raunchy Pantera fan in the mosh, so I won't go into that, but he's an arsehole. But then... I've obviously had I think this happened twice now. I've had like a car drive past and they've honked their horn. Don't know if that was positive or negative. One of the times they honked my horn and shouted fag because of the whole gimp suit sort of.
How? Doesn't look like a gimp suit. What the fuck?
I don't know. They just shouted fag.
Has any of them ever seen a gimp suit?
I don't know. They drove past and they said fag. They shouted fag at me.
They might have just like.
I don't fucking know.
Maybe
ask them.
Maybe it's just because you're not ugly and you don't have fucking facial hair growing out of your cheeks and shit.
Maybe.
Like,
well, I mean, yeah, that's happened twice, I think. Well, one of the times they didn't shout fag, so that one might have been a positive one.
That's alright. You know for a fact they went home and sucked each other's dicks anyway. So. But I don't understand this bullshit just because it's leather. Leather's a fucking material for crying out loud. You stupid cunts. There's a big difference between a fucking biker jacket and a gimp suit.
Just cut to Bruce on stage going, "You are the problem.
You are the problem. You!
Get
out of here!"
Cut
to that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what it is. This fucking thing. People seem to think, A, that in this day and age it's still an insult to call somebody homosexual, but B, that there's something emasculating about wearing leather. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't feel anything when someone punches me in this kind of stuff. Like as hard as I want. Like, what's the issue? Like, what? Again, you've clearly never actually seen a gimp suit, have you? You fucking retard. I can't fucking stand this reverse snobbery. It pisses me off.
Yeah, it's whatever.
It really pisses me off. I'm sorry, but you can't try and talk tough when you're standing there in a tracksuit, but you've got a pot belly hanging out here. You fucking chavvy ass, unfit piece of crap. With bum fluff and a 14-year-old in your Vauxhall Corsa back seat.
And a giant fuck off bald patch. Cut to the Pantera fan.
And a fucking beer can of Stella in your hand, you know, about to go home and beat your 14-year-old girlfriend or something. Just...
but no, and the other one, I think I've already told this story in a video, but I was basically just walking down the street wearing my Slipknot shirt because it had the pentagram on the back. And then my regular vest, not this one, the other one, and regular cut jeans, and I was listening to music, I was walking and the thing unplugged and it started playing out loud, and it was playing some really just chill heavy metal. I think it was Priest or maybe Maiden.
It's probably Living After Midnight or 2 Minutes to Midnight.
Something like that. That's usually what I listen to from them. But and it played out loud, and there was this woman walking the other way, and she looked probably 50 or something, and she stopped and looked at me and she was like, "Young man, when was the last time you went to church?"
And I still think the biggest regret
so
of both our
stupid.
shared friendship is you not having said, I don't know, when did you last get laid?
Yeah.
You know, but obviously you've got to be the better man, I suppose.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I was just dumbfounded because that was the first time I've ever had like a negative like experience in public with someone like just berating me, not berating me, for,
berating you, yeah.
belittling me for liking metal and looking like I'm a metalhead.
When was the last time you...
When was the last time you stuck my penis?
When was the last time you went to church? I don't know. When was the last time you sucked my penis?
But yeah,
I can't do that before.
I wish I'd said something like, I don't know, last time I went to church was when I burnt it down the other week, you fucking inbred piece of shit.
Yeah.
But no.
I just can't. I just fucking people like either Christians, chavs, or whatever. They are the funniest circus people because they try and take the piss out of you, but again, they try and stand there and look hard when they're wearing a tracksuit they've never used.
And there's a
They've got
middle-aged
pot belly
woman,
out
which
here.
is just funny.
And then there's a middle-aged woman who, again, probably has a dusty vagina.
When was the last time you went
know.
to church? It just makes me laugh now. But no, at the time I was literally just dumbfounded. I wasn't even thinking, this is a good comeback. I'm going to say this to her. I was just thinking, fuck. Because I was just so fucking shocked. Because like, not even upset, just like, I didn't know people existed that were this ignorant. Yeah. I guess, is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So.
But generally speaking, I haven't actually had many negative experiences, but I think it's because of my particular choice of style. Because when you actually see, if you see someone on camera wearing a fucking leather jacket, you can take the piss all you want. But when you actually see someone in real life, and I'm not just talking about myself, like I've seen other people who wear similar clothes to me, it is scary when you see boots like that with a person attached to them that's got big jacket, thick leather, and like studs and spikes sticking out here, you know, like it's like I'm wearing brass knuckles. It's not something that most people are gonna not feel intimidated by. That's why these people tend to say these things when there's a safe space, like if you're in a pub.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Oh god, the fucking camera cut out again.
It cut out.
Okay,
sorry about that. We'll go for another 5-10 minutes and we'll cut it.
Cool. But yeah, generally speaking, these people only ever actually like present an argument to you or take the piss, either when they know you or when there's a safe space. So like in a pub surrounded by people where there's security and shit like that, where you can't do anything. If it's actually in the street, they won't bother. 9 times out of 10. These are just
9 times out of 10,
petty, ignorant people.
Yeah. That's why people, from the comfort of their own car, driving past, they'll be like, "Oh, he won't come and punch me in the face if I call him a fag." And little do they know, I threw a brick at their car. I did. Yeah, but no.
I bet you wish you had. But anyway, it's also a case of these are fucking sheeple, and anything outside of the normal scares them.
Like you say, it's a loud minority, and it's just
But these people are, I think, in the same way as the metal community, like most chavvy types or even normal people. Again, you get two types: the elitists and the ignorant ones, and then the ones who are like
actually okay,
the ones who just don't care and are going about their business. But the ones who actually say things like, "Oh, you fag" and all that stuff are just fucking sheeple retards who are threatened by anything that's not Kendrick Lamar or Stormzy playing out. It's anything that's not Kendrick Lamar or Stormzy playing out. They're fucking, not that there's anything wrong with enjoying that music.
Well, no.
They're threatened by anything that's not what they like, and also anything that's not, again, tracky bottoms they don't use, old trainers from like fucking 1924 or something fucking retarded. Anything that's not what they expect is a threat to them because it's not normal, and it's like normal, you know. If it's not chavvy, it's not okay, you know.
Because the thing is, people are scared of what they don't know. Maybe they don't understand metal,
or maybe they just have internalized homophobia in that particular case.
Again,
they probably went home and sucked each other's dicks.
Yeah.
Whereas you came here and well, didn't have.
Yeah,
sex
it doesn't
with a girl,
bother me. I'm secure about my sexuality. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so screw you. Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see all these different, like you said, it's like a circus act, isn't it? Seeing all these different breeds just coming at you, being like, "Went to church, fag," all this shit. So saying all these different things. But no, usually it's all positive.
But I can tell you from experience, the boots do help. Generally, people just don't
bother
don't
because they're
bother.
like, oh, I don't want that boot in my face.
Okay, just like I can't be arsed. you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
They help,
Exactly.
but
But no.
still, you
We're
know,
going to cut it there, I think.
I suppose.
We've said everything we need to say.
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sleepy now.
Unless you want to say more.
More.
Do you want to... Okay.
There you go, I said more. No, all I have to say really is I've enjoyed the podcast, and I think
Stay metal.
we've rambled enough about Metalhead shit,
For 1 hour.
but the more important thing is just have fun with it. Just
Yeah.
You don't have to wear leather,
And if
you
you're
don't
not-
have to
we
wear
should-
denim,
we
you don't
should
have
do
to wear patches,
a
you don't
separate
have to wear band
podcast.
shirts, you can wear whatever the fuck you want. Just do whatever.
We need to do a separate podcast about how to get into metal, like where to start, because that'll be a fun thing to
Beginner
do.
thing.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. We'll see you again. Probably.
Maybe next episode. Maybe.
Assuming you didn't hang yourself during this.
Yeah, you wouldn't have made it this long if you didn't like metal, at least a little bit. So, but yeah, this has been fun. We'll see you next time.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-zy bye.
See you in the next one.